Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this wonderful planet of ours, which I hope you are severely looking after. Welcome to Sunday. Welcome to the Jaden Show. I am Jaden Cornelious, and I'm about to introduce you to another wonderful person in my life. His name is Marque with a Q. He's from the USofA, and you're going to meet him very, very soon. But before then, I think I should introduce you to a little bit of his music and definitely a bit of his visuals. This is Won't Lie. This is Marque featuring Mazy.
Don't put your head on my titty, sir. Don't put your head on my titty. What you're gonna do is you're gonna let me in the club, though, because you put your head on my titty. So let me in. Okay, so we're gonna put your hand on my titty again. Okay, how come I can't get in the club, sir? Is there a reason why I can't get in the club? Is this homophobia? This is homophobic! This is homophobic! Homophobia! You know what? I got your ass. I'm gonna call my boy Marque. Bet. Club with my girl Mazy. You know I'm trying to kick it with y'all tonight because I heard it's popping. What's the password?
You said that yeah, dame mi one more beso. Head on my chest while we lay low. Tears on the side of my pillow. I don't even want you here though. Heart turning black, beating real slow. I do admit it was a good show. Believed all the lies like you knew though. And I came right back, but now I won't do that. Thought you had me back, and now it ain't like that. No, it ain't like something heavy in the air tonight. Palms are sweaty, it's just you and I. Fire burning by the waves at night. I don't want it back, I ain't gon' lie. Thought you had me back, and now it ain't like that. No, it ain't like something heavy in the air tonight. Palms are sweaty, it's just you and I. Fire burning by the waves at night. I don't want it back, I ain't gon' lie. Shit you did to me, playing like it's cool and you dipping me. Fuck it, I'm done, you dead to me. Didn't know it was Three's Company. All the shit you did to me. Chose a couple rows and you did your thing. Fuck it, I'm done, you dead to me. Did it to yourself, stop missing me.
Me dijiste que me amabas solo con una mirada. Ahora ya no quieres nada, yeah, yeah, yeah. Tu caricia en la que amaba, con el llanto en mi almohada. Te busqué y no estaba, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mazy. Something heavy in the air tonight. Palms are sweaty, it's just you and I. Fire burning by the waves at night. I don't want it back, I ain't gon' lie.
Bitch, did you know you had me outside waiting for 3 hours with some man talking about, let me get a password like I'm motherfucking Siri? Hey girl, you look cute as fuck. Anyway, don't you ever have me waiting outside. Let's go turn up. Talk about hey.
Let's go.
Dame un beso, let's go.
Patience is a virtue, and that is the only virtue we're concentrating on today. Now, I know you want to meet him, but you've got to wait a couple of minutes more, I'm afraid, because we're going to a Jaden Show commercial break. Hey guys, I wanted to take this opportunity to let you know about the Jaden Show commercial break starting now. This is amazing news because now every single week you have a couple of minutes to be able to advertise something you want to advertise. So if you have a business, if you have an event coming up, if you have a new album, art gallery, or anything you want to particularly advertise on a show, this is your chance to do it. March and April 2024, the advertisements are free, so please let me know. Get in touch to me on Jaden Cornelious at AOL.com. It will be wonderful to hear from you. If you are a charity or a charitable organization or a non-profit and you are advertising something with regards to that, then always your advertising is free. So let me know. You will need to send me between a 1 and 2 minute video around that time, if possible, something that you want to advertise, and I will fit it into this spot. Get on. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Are you ready? I know I am. Let's welcome to this week's The Jaden Show, the amazing Marque, everybody. Marque, and Marque with a Q. How are you, young man?
I'm doing great. It's been well, it's not January anymore. I thought I was gonna say it's been the busiest month of what feels my life. But we're in February now, so I'm looking forward to doing more things that I love to do and less things that I have to do.
Amazing. Ojalá, may that continue for the whole of the year as well, mate, quite frankly.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm so pleased you took time out of your crazy off schedule to join me on the Jaden Show. I want to get to know you a little bit better, a little bit more intimately, dare I say. So I'm going to take you back to when you were mini Marque with a Q. And I would like to know, what was going on in your family background musically? Kind of what were the things that kind of started the travel, the journey of becoming a singer, a songwriter, a choreographer, and which came first?
Yeah. So I'll answer the easy one first. Choreography came first. So dance was actually my first love before anything else. And I like to think that it was my first love because it allowed me to communicate without having to communicate.
Okay.
You know, I can just kind of like release and let myself go and it was a really good vessel for expression. And I'm Puerto Rican from the Bronx, New York City. And my family is just a family of tons of bundled up energy. So whenever we would get together, everyone would be dancing, everyone would be partying, like very typical like Puerto Rican stuff that you would see like online. But there was like an introvertness to my family as well. So it was really easy to chill and it was really easy to have fun as well sometimes. The rest of my story is not necessarily the brightest or most like happy story. A lot of the things that led me to art and my career and stuff like that have to do with the quest and the search for like healing and understanding myself and things. So my uncle was a drug addict and we basically spent half of my childhood just kind of chasing him up and down the East Coast, trying to salvage whatever they were, you know, trying to salvage and whatnot. And eventually that led me to Pennsylvania, which I would then be living in Philly and also a small town called Allentown, Pennsylvania, where there's a lot of talent in that town. But it's just, you know, I get excited when people decide to make leaps out of the town. I'll just leave it there. But Philly was an amazing place for me to explore more. And so being so obsessed with dance since the early 90s and 2000s, I ended up getting hired as a choreographer for this franchise called Millennium Dance Complex, which is very well known across the globe, but mainly in Los Angeles for the dance community and whatnot. That's kind of what planted the seed of me being able to even move to LA like at all. Because prior to that, I was just like in my own internal artistic world. You know, I am a man of many passions, and I was going to go to school for graphic design at one
Oh,
point.
okay.
I was doing professional photography on the East Coast. Like I was shooting weddings. Um, I went, you know, a lot of just me trying to figure things out, and you know, as a young person, when you don't have this sense of self or the self have or that you're looking to have, you don't necessarily view yourself as like um this superstar, this
Of course.
like
No.
height and kind of like energy. You just see yourself as it is. You're very present, especially the kids. You know, the kids are very present and in the moment. So I would always watch these music for Lopez, Usher, the boy bands. Jay Z, Blink 182. Like my influences are very all over the place.
Okay.
But specifically for the artists that were like me, which is multifaceted, like we have Jennifer Lopez, we have Rihanna, um, and a couple other like actor, singer, dancers. I would watch them and I would be obsessed with the choreography, and I'd be like, yes, like I'm hitting all these things, and but I never thought that I could be the artist. Like I never thought to think that the reason I loved dance so much was because I wasn't watching the backup dancers.
Right.
I was watching the artists kill this choreography. I was watching the artists embody what they embody, whatever that message is, you know, which to me is like my message is usually to be as authentic and unapologetically myself as much as I can, but in a way that is affects people positively, or at least encourages people to fucking like shift a little bit. You know what I mean? Like shake things up.
Yeah.
And I felt like there were artists that were doing that for me. Aaliyah was one of my favorite
me
artists
too.
of all time.
Me too.
And I think she has still to this day, I think the most subtle impact on me. And I say subtle impact because when I look back at my music and my art and music videos, like I can see the undertone of like Aaliyah's influence in every single thing that I do, you know? So that was another thing that inspired me was artists like her who could sing, dance, act. They lived in a dual energetic kind of a world, right? So she had so much masculine energy, but a lot of feminine sex appeal to her.
Yeah.
And I loved that and I ate that up. And so for me as an adult and as someone who identifies like as a man or gender non-conforming, I'm in this world of like I don't give a fuck what you call me, just acknowledge and respect me type shit, you know?
Do that.
And so yeah, I had to say like she has still to this day some of the biggest influence on me, and a lot of these things that I'm telling you I didn't even know until recently.
Wow.
Until I become an adult, until I became an adult that was like self-aware and self-assured, you know, like now in retrospect I'm realizing like, oh shit, the reason I am this way is because as a kid I soaked up everything that I loved and I put it now into everything that I do. And so for years and years and years I had a hard time understanding the trajectory of my life. And I was like what the fuck is going on? Like I got sold this dream of that Los Angeles is the greatest place on earth for all of this, which we all get sold a dream when you're watching the media or any kind of news or
Absolutely.
social outlet. They're only showing you the good bits. No one's ever showing you
No,
any of the bad
no,
stuff.
what's going on in the offices and the sofas and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
just dream
And
world,
so,
right?
yeah, it's definitely a dream world, and they sold me on it, but like, good on me for actually taking the bait, because at least I got to come over here and figure it out for myself. Whereas most people live in that fantasy land and they don't think that they're actually capable of coming here. So, there came a point where I was just annoyed with my life back home. I was just like, I had reached a certain point in my career. I was doing things for my community. I was teaching at like 4 or 5 studios in the space and up and down the East Coast. I had been working for this Millennium Dance Complex franchise for about a year before it got closed down because financial stuff, blah blah blah. And I was like, damn, I really hate being here. And for years, I convinced myself that I was needed here, or that I needed to stay here for some reason or whatever. And finally, I was just like, you know what? Like, if I feel like unaliving myself, why am I here? Like, why am I staying here? Why am I forcing myself to suffer because I'm scared to let go of everything that I thought I knew about the world around me, the people around me, who the fuck I was, all these things. And so I was like, you know what? You know that dream that you were sold on MTV and all these
When
different
they were
things. I
doing
could
music,
just
right?
go do it.
I said
Yeah.
when they
Like,
were doing music, MTV.
when they were doing music, right? So I was like, you know what? Go be a part of that world. See what it's about. And when I tell you, I wasted no time. Like, I spent a year, like, before ladder that I could find, because I was trying to get over like my fears. I had chosen 3 fears, and I was like, well, what are your 3 biggest fears? How can you face them head on? One was dying. Another one was losing my mother. The last one was heights. I was like, well, I can't die and I can't lose my mom. So what can I face right now? I was like, heights. Okay, how can I do that? Ladders. So anytime I would see a ladder for a whole entire year, I would climb it. I didn't care if it was a step stool at Walmart at the time. I didn't care if it was abandoned ladders in hikes like 50 feet tall. I have the photos to prove it. So for a year I climbed any ladder I could without having access to mental health podcasts or tools, without having like a supportive community around me, because everybody was sad and miserable, and just, misery likes company. So, and I was always the one trying to be innovative and change things and shake shit up, and I didn't know what else to do at this point. And so I finally was like, at the end of summer, and my sister goes, hey, do you want to come spend my birthday with me? My boyfriend can't come. And I was like, yeah, sure, what are we doing? She's like, skydiving. And I said, well, shit, I can't get any higher than that, So I went with her. I signed a little waiver that says, if I go splat, boo hoo. And I went, and I had an out of body experience, and it felt like my body was falling faster than my essence was, or than my soul was, and I felt like I had an out of body experience, and I just saw everything for what it was in that
Wow, mate.
moment.
Respect.
You have to be present in a moment like that, right? Yeah. You have to be present in a moment like that, and meditation is about being present. And
Mhm.
so I didn't know that in that moment I was in like and so aware and so radically accepting of the potential consequences, because I could have died at any time. Like, let's
Yeah.
be real. Like, they don't tell you, they're like, everything's super safe and blah blah blah, but crazy shit does happen,
Yeah, that
so I
parachute don't want to
radically
open.
accepted the fact that I'm in this. I signed it. I signed a thing, and I was fine with it. So this is, so at that moment, I realized. I said, you have two options. I said, you do or you die. You do or you die. I'm gonna die in this town miserable, or I go and I do shit and I do what I want to do. I do it my way, how I want to do it, and I be open to learning and flowing and changing and adapting the ways that I know how. But as long as I stick to my purpose and my values and my goals, then I'll be fine. So that initiated the move over here, and I taught however many master classes I could. I saved up a little bit of money, which was literally nothing at all. Actually, it was like $900 to get my car shipped over here, and then I had to pay for everything else. And I stood with a friend for a month. I stood with another friend for a month. I had people flake on me, so I couldn't even get an apartment. By the time everything started to work itself out, I had been homeless for a year in Los Angeles, living in my car, using Planet Fitness as my bathroom and my changing room before I would go manage a sunglasses store. And then after that, go do red carpet dancer jobs because I was trying to still be like a dancer and a choreographer and all the things. So my life was really crazy up until the pandemic. And then when I got my place, even I got into a really bad car accident, like a three-way car accident. Someone hit me into oncoming traffic. I got hit in the front again with an SUV. Like someone or something wanted me dead. Like the amount of near-death experiences that I've had is insane, actually. And that leads me to kind of understanding that, like, if I have chosen to stay alive and if the universe is keeping me alive, then I'm alive for a reason. And if I feel so passionate about my artistry and the things that I say and yada yada yada, then I have no choice but to live in my purpose. My art and my purpose are heavily connected. I'm a licensed massage therapist during the day. Like, I work at a chiropractor's office, so I'm in the business of healing and other things, and that'll eventually grow into something else because I don't want to be using my hands for forever. It's very energetically draining depending on who I'm still doing the choreography. 5 to 7 independent artists right now, on top of working on my own music and my own business models and things that I want to do. So that's kind of like the backstory of me and how I kind of got here to LA. And I discovered music in I started playing with music before I left the East Coast, like just as like shits and giggles. Like a rapper friend wanted me to just do some stuff, and so I was just doing a lot of mixtape stuff and like ghost writing and stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until 2020 hit that I was like, damn, the whole world is on pause right now. I said, this is great. This is awesome. I was like, fuck FOMO. I was like, I don't have FOMO at all. I can explore everything that I want to explore. So for me, 2020 was the greatest blessing because it allowed me a window into myself.
Yes.
And it allowed me to become the person that I am today. So I did a lot of therapy, a lot of reading, a lot of help, a lot of undoing. I'm talking generational traumas. Like, I put in some heavy duty work into making sure that I've undone a toxic, habits and the way I used to treat people sometimes because I was insecure or sad or whatever, like I clocked all those things. And so 2020 was the greatest blessing for me.
I was telling people that if you leave the whole COVID situation the same way as you entered that situation, you have missed the most phenomenal and valuable opportunity to grow and change. So
let me tell you, especially, and this might seem controversial, but especially here in the States, especially here in the States, because I feel like, and I've always felt this way, that I feel like we're behind. We're behind on like emotional intelligence, and a couple of things, because whenever I have conversations, when I'm in other countries or talking to people from other countries, there's just this instant understanding where I'm just like, why is this person not here? Why am I not finding this kind of person here? Why am I having a hard time trying to connect, And it's because sometimes America, and just people in general, can be very resistant to change and to uncomfortable things, and we don't understand that it's like everything is comparable to the gym. I always try to tell, especially like gym bros, I always try to tell people, like, treat everything like the gym. We know goddamn well you do not want to be at the gym, but you go anyway because you know the benefits that you're going to get, whether it's neurologically, whether it's physically, whether it's a good moment to just express yourself and get out the house, or if you're going to connect, if you're being social at the gym. There's a lot of things that you're getting from it that you don't often realize that you're getting, right? So you have to treat your life like almost like a gym session. Like, what do I need today? Work on that. It's not always going to feel good. It's not always going to be something that's like, oh, I love this moment.
And it's
But
probably
you
going to
do
hurt
it.
tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's probably going to hurt tomorrow, but it's going to feel better longer. It's not about today and it's not about tomorrow. It's about how we can use today to make a better week, month, year life,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
I found that as well.
yeah.
Obviously, we don't need to discuss whether we had vaccines and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I chose to be. I didn't want the vaccine and would never have taken the vaccine. That was just my personal thing, and it wasn't even because I was anti-vax. I was just anti this situation. It just rang so completely untrue to me, and it was quite interesting that I lived in a town that was basically America, United States of America in Mexico. And I honestly would have been burnt on a cross in my front garden if I had told anyone I didn't want the vaccination. I was high risk. I was, I had autoimmune disease, blah, blah, blah. There was also, different things that were going on. However,
Yeah.
just the nastiness, the panic, the believing every single thing you hear, read, and see. And
Yeah.
it might not have even been about that particular situation. It could have been about anything. That's what I found the most difficult about the Americans that I knew at that time. And I knew quite a few at that time. And maybe it was just like the small nucleus in a small town. But I was like,
Right.
why are you not researching? Why are you not, even if it's not your bag, why would you hate on others for not choosing? And I've been to 30 different countries in my 50, however many years. And
Wow.
the most difficult country I've ever visited, and it was emotionally that I thought was the most needy, was the United States of America. Everything was hi, have a good day. Oh, we're great. It was everything surface. But you say, how did you cope when your grandmother died? And it's like blank. Like the ability to be able to touch, to deal with emotional shit. I found that very
And yeah, yes, and you said it. You said it. It's like over here there is like a neediness or whatever, but at the same time there is a wall. So
yeah,
it's like, how can anyone even help
yeah,
you with your
absolutely,
neediness if you're not allowing them to even get through that first wall,
absolutely.
And that's what I feel like my music and my artistry and who I am as a purpose or a person, that's what I feel like my art is meant to do, and that's what I feel like I'm meant to do, is to have these uncomfortable kinds of conversations with people, to help people guide themselves to a better sense of self. Now, whatever you want to do is going to be whatever you want to do. I'm not here to be a dictator. I'm not here to tell people how to live their lives, but what I'm saying is knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better off you will be at making decisions for yourself.
Absolutely.
You can't make decisions for anyone else but yourself. And so why would you not want to know as much as you possibly can about yourself?
Because being your authentic self is the ultimate in vulnerability.
It is.
That's
It
why.
is. Because it strips you. Everyone likes to be naked. Everyone likes to talk about sex and all this shit, but nobody likes to get emotionally naked. It's the same concept. The same feeling that you have when you take your clothes off in front of people is the same feeling you're going to have when you take off those metaphorical, like, clothes, like those barriers. There's not really a difference. Like, vulnerability is vulnerability is vulnerability. And the second that you recognize that vulnerability is a strength, that's when you really start to hone in on what authenticity like really is, and like what it really means. And I thought being vulnerable was making me weak. I had a lot of those toxic masculine traits, and a lot of the things you kind of get traditionally taught, from just being even Puerto Rican sometimes, but I grew up with a lot of strong women who had that same energy that Aaliyah would make me feel.
Okay.
And so they kind of, in a way, showed me the strength that is in vulnerability, how I can still be a badass and for lack of better words, fuck shit up.
Yeah.
and still be soft and still deliver a message with such like eloquence that it actually makes the impact that I need it to make.
Absolutely.
Instead of being a hot-headed Puerto Rican from the Bronx trying to force my way into everybody else's infrastructure, and get my point across. Nobody's gonna hear you if you're fucking yelling. Point blank, period.
Absolutely.
And so that's why you got to turn it into something that can be delivered like smoothly. It's like the fragile tape. It's like everything has that fragile tape on it. So think about, like, when you're delivering something, like, assess what the outcome of that is going to look like. And, like, if I'm delivering this hard, then it may not be received well. But if that's what you're
collateral
going
damage
for,
at the end of it.
yeah, I'm also someone that will assess my consequences before I make a decision. And sometimes the consequences are not good. And I say, you know what? I can live with that. And I do it anyway. Because sometimes you have to pick something hard over the thing that is gonna feel the most satisfying. Anyway, like, sometimes I'm like that kind of person, and sometimes it bites me in the ass, but
That's where we grow, right?
yeah, but sometimes I'm too willing to be the one to make the sacrifice. And so, sometimes then you also have to then find balance, so you can't do any of the things I'm talking about if you don't have a good understanding and adaptation of balance in your life.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the most important one, because when everything is at equilibrium, you can deliver effectively, you can receive effectively, so that's why I think mental health is extremely important. And I think that art needs to be a part of that. I'm trying
therapy.
to create this. It is. It's 100% therapy. And people, I think that we've capitalized on art so much to the point where people are scared of it now. Like, everyone thinks that they have to be this perfect bundle of whatever the fuck to be an artist, and they're using AI to create art and blah 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 and all this stuff, which I'm cool with, but it's like, where is that coming from? You know what I mean? Like, art used to be like messy, like, art used to be very just like take this mumbo jumbo and take what resonates, leave what doesn't,
Yeah.
and move on with your life. And then you move on to the next thing, and we're all connecting over the things that we loved. But
Absolutely.
now we're breaking shit down to fit an algorithm that don't give a fuck about us.
Isn't
So
this a
I think
metaphor for
me,
our whole lives on every level, that we do that with everything?
yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. And I
Instead of
mean,
just
and it's
being.
in the exactly. And so yeah, I'm kind of on a mission to create this thing, which I'm sure it exists already, but in my mind, I want to create like a creative wellness space, you know, where it encapsulates everything that I'm doing, because I have a hard time moving forward sometimes, because again, I'm in the J-Lo Rihanna vein of like, I want to make music, but I also want to have businesses, but I also want to help my community, but I also want to be an artist. And everyone's like, you have to pick one, you have to pick one, you have to pick one. And I'm like, no, I don't have to pick one. I just have to focus a lot harder, and I have to make sure that my team is a good team. I need to make sure I have a team that understands what I'm trying to do, because
Yeah.
again, the fastest way isn't always the best way.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
trying to do things organically. I want to reach people that really want to connect, that really want to receive value, that really want to feel encouraged and motivated, that really want to feel in general. My whole choreography brand is called Feel It First,
Wow.
because if you don't do that, what are you doing? You have to take everything that you're feeling, and you have to assess that, analyze it, sit with it, be with it, and figure out what it means, and then take it from there. Do I want to put it into art? Do I want to put it into my journal? Do I want to share it with people? Do people need this? You know, like everything starts with a feeling, you know,
Absolutely.
but you can't act on just the feeling alone. Like, you have to incorporate other aspects of these things that I'm talking about, like mental health.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. When did you kind of become feeling that you were now, you know, you're doing what you can choreographically, interesting
Yes.
word. And now you think, right, I actually want to be that performer now, so I'm going to start singing and songwriting. When did that come? How was that introduced into your evolving?
Yeah. Um, so 2020, so the pandemic, I just kind of started to realize like other things I was passionate about, and so I allowed myself to explore those things, and so I started writing with an artist who lives in, I think, Milan now. His name is Guess. He's a really talented singer songwriter, and I ended up being his choreographer, and he ended up being like my producer for a couple
Oh,
of
sweet.
songs. So we actually just traded, and it worked out, and it allowed me to explore what my sound was gonna be. It allowed me to explore what I wanted to say, and just a lot of different things. And so Running was actually my first song ever.
Wow.
um
Okay.
and yeah, and that was just like, that song was an experiment. That song was me trying to figure out the direction I wanted to go in. And then I quickly realized that I don't have, the same way I don't have one passion, I don't have one sound. And I was like, I can't do this sound forever. Like, what's more me? And so I found Won't Lie was actually my second song. And I found that beat online, and I was like, okay, this sounds closer to the soul of who I am. Like, running. There was a lot of hurt in Running, and growing up, I've always been a sad boy. I've always been like on that like sad boy sexy shit, you know, like just depressed, but I'm hot and a badass. And I was in that space for like a second, and then Won't Lie started to kind of like lighten things up. And I think that that's when the vulnerability started to really kick in, because I was allowing myself to like acknowledge my own wrongdoings as well,
Right.
in a deeper way, like not in a surface way, like in a deep way. And so Won't Lie, I actually wrote that song in two different perspectives. So I wrote it in the perspective of my ex, and I also wrote it in the perspective of myself.
Right.
So you know, that song is about like cheating and defeat, but still wanting to be a part of something, and just a lot of like things that feel internally conflicting.
Mm-hmm.
And I just let it go. There's something about guitars that, you know, to take it back to like growing up, guitars. My uncle used to play like in Christian rock bands,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandfather used to just kind of like play for fun. A lot of like Puerto Rican like folk kind of stuff. And so guitars just always did something to me internally, where they activate. I don't even know if it's like the frequency of like some of the strings,
Okay.
but it is just so healing and therapeutic and comforting. And so when I was making that song, I wanted all of those things to exist. You know, I wanted hate. I wanted to, like, not necessarily hate, but hurt to exist. I wanted love and sympathy to exist within that song, but I also wanted it to feel safe, you
Right.
know, but I also wanted it to feel like an emotional leak, you
Mm-hmm.
know, as if like, you know, when something kind of just slowly oozes out, you know, I kind of wanted that song to feel like that in a way. Um, so that's kind of how I got my start into music. And going back to the pandemic, just kind of really offering me an opportunity to wake myself up. I realized that my ego was attached to my dance identity,
Wow.
and I realized that I wasn't measuring my values based off of like me, and what I can contribute as a human being.
Right.
I was measuring my value and my worth based off of what I receive from being a good dancer, from being a hot dancer, from being able to take direction, from being outgoing and lively and a dance monkey, essentially, you know. And then I started to kind of cut those like puppeteer strings a little bit, and I realized that people only wanted to be around me because they were miserable with themselves.
Yeah.
And I was always ready to have a good time. I was always ready to kind of like be a part of whatever was going to contribute like good vibes, you know, whether I knew that at the time or not. I recognize that in retrospect, that I was constantly tired because I was getting drained for every single thing that I was worth, and it was being masked as a good time or an opportunity. And I had to weigh it out. I was like, are these opportunities really worth it if I'm allowing somebody else to control the measure of my worth?
And being completely emotionally depleted at the end of it.
And then
Um,
feel exhausted and still as if I have nothing. I gotta pay rent. I'm not even getting paid what I'm worth for half of these gigs out here. A lot of these things are fucking cattle calls, you know? Like, even the ones that they'll say, like, are closed auditions, like, they're always so huge, you
Right.
know? There's a lot of, like, you know, people talk about the Hollywood stuff, and sometimes it is very dark and crazy, where like people do sometimes will like try to hold things over your head, or you know, try to get you to do sexual favors or deeds for a job or whatever. For me to say that that part of the world doesn't exist would be a full
Oh, of
lie. But
course,
it's
yeah.
not just Hollywood, it's everywhere. And it's everywhere in our adult
Yeah,
lives.
absolutely.
Hollywood and big cities just amplify it because it's metropolitan. And so there's tons of people here. So, of course, you're going to feed through the bullshit faster.
Yeah.
But the natives here are amazing. The people that I've met here that I've been able to like connect with like on a deeper level, like my tribe, like there's so many amazing
Wow, that's
people
such a
here.
blessing.
Yeah, it is a major blessing. But if you don't survive, um or better, if you don't sift through the toxicity and you're patient with it, you're gonna give up and you're gonna leave.
Of
There
course.
were many times I could have left, and I've chosen not to leave because I feel like my purpose isn't done here. Would I love to move to Europe or something like that? I feel like other countries just really receive me the way I'm intending to be received. I can just be my fucking self and people are like, yeah, mate, like let's fuck it up. Like, and I'm like, damn, like where are you guys? Like, do we have to create like a new city or whatever? But my purpose isn't done here, and so I've chose to continue to do like the hard work and have the hard conversations to make the life that I want to live the life that I want to live, because at the end of the day, regardless of the cards that we have been dealt, it is our
Absolutely.
decision to deal the rest of them. And you play
Absolutely.
the game how you want to play, or you let everybody play you. And it
Absolutely.
really is about recognizing that this is going to sound crazy. We're in a simulation. The way that these rich people view money is they view millions of dollars as pennies.
Yeah.
And that's because money is not real, but value is.
Hmm.
So what you spend your time on, what you spend your energetic currency on, what you spend your time, right? We're all looking for more time. We're all trying to buy more time, right? And if you just redirect what you spend your time doing, you're gonna watch your life change in a very serious way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spend wisely.
Yeah.
Check
And
out what banks you invest in, mate.
yep. Read the
Most of them
fine
don't give
print.
interest anymore. What's going on for you at the moment musically? What's happening for Mark with a Q right now?
So I just dropped two new singles. One named Narcissist, and that's being received very well. It was on an EP that I was gonna drop, but I didn't because of just budgeting and financing. And making music is really hard. People don't tell you that. And I pride myself in having my hands in as much of it as I can.
Yeah.
And so the song's being received well. It's like it has Elenium vibes, like
Okay.
Elenium and Tori Kelly kind of like energy. But it's definitely like pop, dance pop. I don't know if I would say EDM, but it does have like a dance, like
What
a
kind of like Dua Lipa kind of vibe, where it's kind of just crossing over that border.
yeah, kind of, sort of, and it's like ballady, so it's a little
Okay.
more on the slow side. And then I dropped another single, which is my favorite single of all time. And I think this song really encapsulates who I am as a person, as an artist. The song is called "Play Me." It's an R&B song, R&B pop song. And it's again on the slower side, but when I perform I still have dancers.
Right.
So I like to sprinkle that in there and show people that you don't have to have I love Britney Spears, but you don't have to have like a Britney archetype like song, to dance to it. You can dance to anything if you're feeling it. So that's happening musically. I'll be shooting the music videos for those this year, most likely. And then I do have a show happening 3 days before my birthday on February 20th.
Okay.
It's called Sauced at Breaking Sound LA. February 20th, I'll be playing an acoustic set. It'll probably have some covers in there, old songs, new songs. Me and my keys. My key player is Lalo. My guitar player is going to be A-Tune. He's the guitarist for Z Machine. And he was also my professor in school.
Wow, sweet.
So we're going to get to all play together. And
Nice.
I'm trying to convince either or to do like mash up an original song like with one of mine, because I love to share space, I love to collab, I love to connect, and what better way to do that than by, you know, like allowing other people to share an authentic version of
Absolutely.
themselves with me and the people that are going to come support me, you know. So those are all the things that are happening. I'm in the process of just having people step into the universe, which is my world now. I've realized that I've been playing this game all wrong, and I've been trying to reach so many people, and I've been trying to get everybody, you know, together and round up everybody. And it's like, that's a hard job for one person, you know, like I'm not Wonder Woman. I can't just like get them all together. But what I can do is attract. What I can do is magnetize. And so with with me phasing away from meta platforms, I'll hopefully be off at the end of this year. It's going to take a long time, but I'm boycotting for obvious political reasons, which I can no longer deny in my art anymore, because music is way too powerful to not use for the good, the greater good. And although I'll probably feel like it's a big loss, I know that it's not, because I'm just going to be redirecting people to my world, you know, and to continue to cultivate spaces and communities where we get to again be authentic.
Absolutely.
And have that process of learning how to be authentic, and then being authentic also be a part of the healing process.
Yes, absolutely. It's a bit of a mashup in itself. But maybe that's what we're just here to do, right? Maybe that is the meaning to life, is about to be our authentic divine self.
I think it really is, because if you look at artists like Cardi B and Kiki Palmer and Beyonce and whoever else, you know, they succeed because they're unapologetically authentic. No matter how cringy it is, no matter how cringy it is, somebody needs to see themselves in you. And I think that you know, when you talk to some of those people, they don't necessarily intend to be famous, you know, and I think that that's the formula. And I think that that's something that I'm learning as well, too, is that I let go of the need to want to impress. I don't want to be famous anymore. I don't care about having, you know, all the money in the world. I'm fine if 10 people come to my show. Guess what? I'm just as happy about that 10 people as I am about 100 people, because I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm not doing it for external validation anymore. No. You know, your life really changes when you recognize that those 10 people that actually see you for who you are will do more for you than any 465K followers will ever do.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's different when you're talking from a financial perspective and you're making money using the internet and monetizing and blah, blah, blah. And it's another when you're just trying to live a life behind the camera that is real. Yes. And my name is not the real Marque for no reason. Absolutely. You know, and so I'm here to rip the Band-Aid off, and it's going to hurt. People are going to look at me crazy and whatever. I'm ready for it.
Good man. Good man. I've been a singer for 34 years, and my biggest lesson that I've learned in probably in the last, maybe not even that long, maybe 5 to 6 years, was I do everything for the love of doing it without any expectations, because expectations only breed disappointment.
Yes, 100%.
So I do it because I love it, and I can, and I want.
Yes, and that is the key. The last part that you said, you have to want to do that. You know,
I was talking to a guy. I mean, like I was in a pop R&B band in the 90s when I was in my 20s, and we were doing.
I want to see all this stuff.
Okay, it's all on my YouTube. I'll send you some links. But I was like, I was going to Sweden and working with like the Max Martin group. So as Britney was leaving, I was going in. As I was leaving, Backstreet Boys were going in, or it was the other way around. I was working with amazing producers. And it was a really amazing time, and I loved it. I ruined a lot of it because just so desperately shy and such self-esteem issues. And it was really, and unfortunately it was pre-internet, so I don't have a lot of, the it's only memories, and as I'm getting older, even that's going. But so now I've kind of, it's quite amazing actually, because I still got some of the fans that I had when I was in my 20s, and they're kind of like married in their 40s now, with kids and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, Jaden," in fact, I done a live the other day, and one of the girls who I used to know when she was like 14 and she was like following my group around, she was doing it. But it was it was a different world then, it was a complete different world. Whereas now you have more competition now. But you have the ability just to be you. And I think that is, if you can grasp that and roll with that, be the best human your best version of self that you can be.
Yeah.
Magic, mate. And I was singing, like, I've sung to over 300 million people worldwide in my 34 years, right?
Wow. Look
over
at that.
6,000 shows in that amount of time. And one of my most memorable shows that I've ever done is only a few years ago, before I moved to Mexico, I was singing in a shopping center because I was kind of I was gone from band to solo. Then I started doing classical and opera because I looked a bit like bad boy of classical and opera. So I started doing that. And this woman came to see me, and had been in a shopping mall, a shopping center. You always get a couple of crazes, that's kind of how it rolls, unfortunately. Yeah. And normally it's just me, but there were some others there as well. And this woman was kind of just hanging around afterwards, and I was going straight into judgment mode, like, oh, I can't be doing with this now. I've just been singing, like, everyone's ignored me for 2 hours, like, it's just been a shit show. And, I really thought that, after 20 years of doing this, blah, 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 all that kind of shit. And this woman, she eventually plucked up the courage to chat, and she said, I wanted to talk to you. She said, I've been agoraphobic for however many years, 15, 20 years, not been able to leave the house. I've been doing therapy for a shitload of time. She goes, and I left the house for the first day. And as I got to the front gate, I kind of thought, nah, I'm not ready. I've got to go back in. And I heard someone singing Dancing My Father by Luther Vandross. She goes, and I had to go and investigate. She goes, and it led me here to you. And without you singing that song, I would never, ever have left my house for the first time in 20 years. And that, for me, I've done auditoriums, in Europe and stuff like that. That was, it taught me a big fucking lesson. Get out of your arse, Jaden, and kind of see what... I was a gospel singer, when I first started back in my teens. I was singing, I was heavily involved in the church. It was kind of something that I wanted to be part of. And, so... And even though now I'm not really on any religious path, I'm more kind of spiritual, what it did teach me is the power of music, the power of word, and the power of intent.